Here we go. This is going to be something completely new for both of us. Live reverse consulting on the spot. We were talking about how to connect with people that you don't know on LinkedIn, how to do it in a mindful way. So what we're going to do right now is Candyce is going to coach me through the process of connecting with 3 people that would be a great guest for the podcast.
You sent me 3 people who were all in the accounting field. I have pulled up those 3 profiles. And the process that I teach for going after these profiles and engaging with them is to find a nugget of information that you can engage them in a conversation about. Now, the important features here are that if you want to start a conversation with someone and you want them to engage with you and like you, it's important that they don't have to be your best friend, but you're looking to get through these 3 tiers of know, like, and trust that are required for someone to decide to do business with you. So the first tier is get to know them and them to know you. Well, you don't make that happen by pitching. You make that happen by starting dialogue with them. It doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't mean that you need to spend years becoming their best friend and inviting them over for a barbecue at your house. But it does mean that you need to engage with them in a way that shows that you care about them, where you're demonstrating interest in what they're interested in, so that creates affinity with them and makes them be more interested in you. And it creates this kind of culture of reciprocity that is just kind of a human nature thing. So we're gonna start, it's the pay it forward, right? So we're paying forward, liking someone, respecting them, showing them some admiration and respect. So that's how we're going to start this conversation. And we do that by looking for a nugget on their profile that you can use to start a conversation about something that they are interested in. This is especially easy because you want to reach out to them about your podcast. And so, you're looking at these CPAs who want to grow their business. So it's easier, but I still think that you need to create a conversation that's meaningful for them. Mm-hmm. So the first thing that I look at in a person's profile is their headline. And if I can find my nugget right here, I will just jump on it and go right there because it's efficient. In this case, I think Danielle would be pretty easy because she's talking about empowering entrepreneurs to know their numbers so they can grow their business. I might start right there saying, Danielle, I noticed your headline about, knowing your numbers so you can grow your business. And that has been the reality of my business. Is the only way that we can actually have profitable growth is if we're really clear on what the numbers are all the time. So I'd love to hear more about what you have to say about that topic, because I think it's so crucial. And then I might ask her a question about it. And just kind of thinking about that right now. Have you noticed that in your, using this headline in LinkedIn causes people to ask you questions about that or something like that? So the key about this is in the connection request, you want to engage her in a way that's really easy for her to answer you. So you want her to both accept and reply. So asking a question helps to get her to reply. But if you ask a really big question, like, how is it that you go about teaching entrepreneurs to know their numbers? That's a really long, big answer, especially for someone who specializes in that, right? So she can't answer that question quickly. She's probably seen your connection request when she took a brief break between meetings. And so if she accepts it, your message pops up as a DM now, your connection request message. But if she's got to rush into a meeting and it's like, that's like a really big question, then she's not going to take the time to answer it right then. Then what's going to happen is it's going to get buried in her messages because you can only see so many messages. And so if she gets a bunch of messages between now and next time she's on LinkedIn, she won't even see your message anymore. So it's really important to make it easy for her to respond. So be strategic about how you ask the question in order to make it really straightforward for her to respond with one phrase or one sentence that she can type out with her thumbs on her phone, if that makes sense.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah, because you want to
So
get them committed quickly, right? With that like simple answer that they don't have to think too much about it. Boom, and you already have a conversation going. I love that.
exactly. It's just about getting a conversation going. It's like saying, how are you? But don't ever do that. Say, how are you? Because that looks so
Lazy. Yeah.
lazy, like a thinly veiled sales pitch. It's not a conversation starter. In reality, it's not a conversation starter in person either. Because if I say, hey, how are you? I expect you to say fine and we go on our way. You know, if I'm at Starbucks and I see you and I notice that you ordered a vanilla soy latte, I'd say, oh, wow, do you prefer the vanilla at Starbucks or have you ever tried it at Dasbog? You know, now we can have a conversation. If I say, how's your vanilla latte? You say, fine, and we're done. So it's about creating open-ended conversation pieces that allow this person to engage with you about something they're interested in.
Correct.
You know?
But I also love that point of something simple, right? Because you don't want to ask the question, do you think that soy milk is better than the other milk for your enzymes or something like that, right? Because that's too much for that small interaction about coffee. So I love that it has to be a question, open-ended, but something simple that just starts a conversation.
Exactly. It's all about starting a conversation. So that's one place that I would go with her. Another place that you can look at is the hashtags, because if she has set up creator mode, turned on creator mode with her platforms or with her profile. So she has selected these hashtags as something really important to her. So if one of those hashtags leaps out at you that you could start a conversation about that, you could go with that. And then if that doesn't jump out at you, then you can come down and you can look. The next thing I look at is the about section. And I loved this. You know, when was the last time you paid yourself? I might send her a connection request here going, man, the first year I was in business, I was paying my employee and not myself. And my mentor found out that that's what I was doing. And he totally jumped down my throat about it, saying, what's the point of being in business if you're not getting paid? And that was such an eye opener. How do you do it with your clients? Or, you know, would you use the same approach or something like that? Again, keep it easy, connecting it, showing respect for what she's saying, and that it really resonated with you is valuable, because you're showing her honor and admiration. And that's a really, really important thing to do. People love to be admired.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's two nuggets that I found just really quickly going through, but there's a ton of stuff in her profile. The next place that you could look is at her content. And here's something that she recently shared just 4 hours ago. So it's very recent to her. I would recommend that if you can come up with something compelling here, that you comment on this at the same time that you're sending that connection request. Because when you comment on her content, you're paying it forward by pushing her content out into the feed. So like it and comment, but provide a meaningful comment, not just great post, right? Because that also demonstrates respect, admiration, and makes her like you.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds, yeah, I'll hop in, comment, and then send that connection request for sure.